Suffering is not just a reaction to pain. It's a symptom of how we've built and come to rely on the wrong landmarks and pathways in the inner landscape of the mind. We tend to think of animals as constantly afraid, always looking over their shoulder for predators. But that's a projection. Animals are alert, yes, but fear is not their operating system. We humans are the fearful ones. Our addiction to a material world, combined with trauma and disconnection from ecosystems, creates a landscape of scarcity and threat. This fear-based landscape becomes familiar, and we build our sense of identity around it. We find comfort in it, even as it hurts us. We create our normal out of it. But what happens when something, pain, trauma, loss, tears up the landmarks? What happens when we can no longer follow the old pathways? We suffer. 1. From pain to suffering. Pain is real, of course. It's a qualiadelic signal, a kind of flashing light in the nervous system that tells us something is wrong. But pain becomes suffering through interpretation. It's not just the signal, it's the story we attach to it. Most animals feel pain, but they don't seem to suffer the way we do. That's because humans have minds that do more than sense. We imagine, reflect, project. That's a gift, but also a trap. We try to outrun pain, suppress it, ignore it, drug it. But pain doesn't go away when we refuse to look at it. It gets louder, and when our interpretation of pain loops through trauma and fear, it becomes suffering. But we have a choice. We can ritual with pain. 2. Conscious ritualing in a ruined landscape. Imagine an animal wandering through its charred landscape after a fire. All the familiar trails are gone. What does it do? It sniffs around, it explores, it follows new qualia, new smells, sights, sounds, looking for food, shelter, life. That's conscious ritualing. We can do the same. We can step into our own scorched mindscape, our anxiety, our heartbreak, our trauma, and play with the edges. Not all at once, not diving in, just exploring. Is the pain a monster waiting to eat us? Or is it an invitation to find a new story? When we begin to consciously ritual with our suffering, we're not just coping, we're creating, we're evolving, we're forming qualiadelic relationships, dynamic, co-creative exchanges between inner and outer qualia. In other words, new meaning is born. 3. Landscapes versus ecosystems. Let's talk about these inner landscapes. We love them because they're familiar. We have our personal landmarks, the job, the house, the routines, the roles we play. We have our mental pathways, the thought patterns we walk every day. This is the world we know, even if it hurts. But ecosystems are different. Ecosystems are not about the self. They're about the relationship. They are wild, diverse, unpredictable, yet balanced. In a healthy ecosystem, creatures share space without needing to compete or dominate. Their qualia, their sensory experience of the world, is different, but it overlaps harmoniously. We used to know ecosystems intimately. All of life evolved with ecosystems, including us. But over time, we stilled the outer landscape so we could name and label it. Then we turned inward and tried to still the mind, boxing it up with diagnoses, categories, and self-knowledge that becomes dogma. The world has become too still. Our interpretations have become too fixed, and so we suffer. 4. Returning to ecosystems. The solution isn't more control, it's more listening. The stream doesn't control its path. It follows gravity. When obstacles appear, rocks, roots, even dams, it wears them down or flows around. We can live like that, but instead, we try to engineer every moment, build structures to block the pain, to optimize, to win. And then we wonder why the inner stream dries up. We need to put our faith back in ecosystems, both external and internal. We need to remember that ecosystems are divine not because they're idealized, but because they give unconditionally. They offer new qualia all the time. They offer meaning. Ecosystems are what God looks like when God is local, grounded, and sensory. That's not heresy, that's spiritual realism. 5. Qualia comes first. We suffer because we confuse matter with meaning. We chase stuff, objects, status, security, thinking it will bring us happiness. But meaning doesn't follow matter. Matter follows qualia. The qualia comes first. The flower emits a scent, a color, a shape. The bee responds. That relationship is qualiadelic. It's more than survival. It's coevolution. It's a dance. Humans can dance too. But most of our relationships today, with people, with ideas, with nature, have stopped being qualiadelic. They're no longer even symbiotic. They've become extractive. We don't give back. We don't play. We don't evolve. But we can begin again. Conscious ritualing is the reset button. It turns matter into mystery, suffering into signal, and routine into creative response. 6. Normal is a mirage. Trauma rewires the brain to see threat everywhere. It pulls us into narrow, rigid patterns. We cling to normal, not because it's great, but because it's predictable. We build our lives around it, even when it hurts. It's the devil we know, but normal isn't a destination. It's a projection, an imagined ideal that starts falling apart the more we stare at it. As we concentrate on normal, it begins to morph and flicker. It becomes unreal. Don't try to grasp normal. Instead, follow the qualia that leads you somewhere interesting. And here's the qualiadelic insight. No qualia should ever be mistaken for matter. Don't treat ideas like objects. Let them move, shimmer, shift. Let them flow like water downhill to your destination, to the source, to ecosystems. 7. Suffering as a call to ritual. Suffering, then, is a call to ritual, a call to reinterpret, to play, to consciously abandon the fearful pathways and sniff around for something new. That's how animals survive after disaster. That's how humans heal after trauma. And that's how civilizations change after collapse, by finding new qualia that holds a new story together. Suffering is a signal that the old story isn't working anymore. But we're not lost. We're just being asked to evolve. You don't have to know what the new path is. You just have to begin to notice, to explore, to ritual. Not every qualia will be a gift, but some will. And over time, those crumbs become landmarks in a better landscape. 8. The Qualiadelic Revolution. We often think of revolution as violent or sudden, but the real revolution is qualiadelic. It's imaginative. It starts by seeing suffering differently, not as a punishment, but as an invitation to deeper attention. Ecosystems are still speaking. Qualia is still flowing. Consciousness is still expanding. Your mind is an ecosystem. Your pain is part of it. Your courage to ritual with that pain, to notice its textures, question its story, honor its mystery, is what will change you. And not just you, but your relationships, your body, your culture. Let the suffering become a trailhead. Your body is a landscape filled with living beings. If the qualia you notice is healthy, then there is harmony in your body. If you desire too much processed food, or beer, or girls, or things, then the landscape of the body falls apart. If you are compassionate and know that every single cell in your body is just like you, just wants to avoid suffering and find happiness, then your body will thrive. If you are compassionate and know that every single being on the planet is just like you, just wants to avoid suffering and find happiness, then your mind is divine. So have some divine pride,